all, for me, the same values, and I have the same, similar, maybe I should say, jobs, so it helps each other, so I can work easily. So this job gives me an opportunity to have a very good experience with all countries in the world, regarding Ankara University, of course. Especially in Europe, because we are very close to Europe, although we are a permanent EU candidate, but still we have very good relations with Europe. And regarding Erasmus, we are allowed to make Erasmus agreements with all European countries. And we are very lucky because we have a very good international team. So we have agreements with all European countries. It doesn't have to be European countries, even the countries that are not in the EU, like Turkey and some new Balkan countries, we can make agreements and we can have international relations with all European countries. So before actually having these jobs in the university, I was very fond of Italy for their language. I don't know why, but I started to have language courses in Italian. So I know Professor Özkan and Ankara University before I started to work in this coordinator jobs. Now, last 3 years I have been doing this international relations work, and we had very much actually success in the last 3 years in terms of Erasmus agreements or in terms of sending students to Europe. But accepting students, incoming students, increasing very slowly, but we are making progress because, of course, Istanbul and Izmir as a city are most interesting than Ankara. So what we do is try to make Ankara is more interesting than the famous cities like Istanbul and Ankara, Izmir. But we are working on them because all students who are going abroad are one of Ankara University ambassadors. So they have to work hard as much as we work hard to make connections between universities. Because it's the world actually, world thing to be globalization. In some points maybe it is not very good, but I am not an economical person, so I don't understand what would be the worst effects on economy. But internationalization is one of the essential things in this century for ourselves, for our country, or for our university as well. We are very lucky university because we are the first university of the Republic of Turkey. So it gives us some credits in terms of having the very famous and very old faculties in our university. We have already 17 and it's going to be 18 faculties, which is a very large number. We have science faculties, health faculties, and social science faculties, which is a very great opportunity to make more connections between the countries. Also, we have vocational schools, state conservatory. Also, we have over 100 undergraduate programs to offer to students. And we have just started to open English programs of some faculties or some postgraduate studies, such as pharmacy faculty is my faculty, and we are going to start the English program of the faculty. It means we are going to continue, of course, our education in our language, but also we are having a second program, which is in English. It offers a very good opportunity for incoming students from all over Europe, also all over the world. We have many students, almost 6,000 students. students and more than 5,000 academical personnel. So it means we are getting closer to 70, maybe more than 70,000 people in one city, which is a great number comparing most of the European universities. As an international coordination, I am very lucky because we have a faculty called Faculty of Humanities, maybe I should say Geography faculty is a very classical name, and I think it is one of the first example of a name as a faculty. We are very lucky because it is one of the oldest in Turkey, and we have almost all language departments in our faculty, which gives us a very good opportunity to make language, using the language as a power to make agreements. So, if I go back to last 3 years, Turkish students usually prefer Germany or Poland to go as an Erasmus student. But this year we have a very good news. Italy is number 1. We worked so hard. Actually, I work for all countries maybe, but because I'm fond of Italy, and with the great help of course, Professor Nevin Özkan and Gianluca Viscardi, one of my very good friends also, Ankara University. We worked so hard to make these agreements increase and to make very good results. So we have this year 96 nominated students to go to Italy, which is a very good number, and this year Italy is number 1. Of course, these are nominated students. They are going to start to go in Italy in September. There might be some cancellations, I hope not, but it's still a great number and a great success. I would like to thank you again, all my professors and friends, also the Erasmus office. First of all, Onur Hoşnut is here today. He worked so hard in every step of these international relations. I would like to give a very short summary about the student numbers, because it is a very good success of our institution and also Erasmus office and also the department. So, very quick reminder, last year's numbers to Italy. From Pharmacy Faculty, we have 10 students. Political Sciences, 11 students. Faculty of Humanities, Language and History, Geography Faculty, I should say. We have too many pages because of the language departments. 23. Engineering, 5. Medicine, 3. Faculty of Science, 5. Veterinary Medicine, 6. Agriculture, 4. Sports Science, 1. But they have a very good project as well with the Italian University. It will take 3 years to complete. Faculty of Communication, number 1. Dentistry, 1. Biotechnology Institute, 1. State Conservatory, 2. Educational Science Institute, 2. Science Institution, 11. So this is the rough numbers. Of course, there are more details. Maybe I have to count universities that we are having very close relationships. Venezia, Torino, Tascia, Parma, Sannio, Bari, Cagliari, Firenze, Foggia, Macerata, Milano, Modena, Napoli, Padova, Perugia, La Sapienza, Salerno, Siena, Teramo, Roma 3, Calabria, Pisa, Stranieri di Siena, Pavia, Bologna, Federico II, Salento. This is quite a good number comparing with the other European countries. this not belongs maybe only our success. Also, students prefer Italy because we have very much in common. They feel much more comfortable than the many other European countries. We have very common values between the countries. We have historical connections, of course political connections, and we found Italy always they support us. We have seen recent years they have been very supportive, especially Italian women. I'd like to thank the Italian women. They always very supportive, the Turkish people. We are looking forward to increase, of course, these relations with Italy, but we have to maybe work more about to keep this balance at least at the moment and increase of course. For this, publicity is very important. We have to work very hard to reach the students and explain the opportunities, Erasmus opportunities or other projects, postgraduate opportunities, project opportunities. The most important place is TÜBİTAK, because we have TÜBİTAK and CNR in Italy. They have bilateral agreements. Every 2 years they open these bilateral agreements, so we can actually apply from all departments. Any departments can make projects between the universities, so it is a very good opportunity to make at least scientific work between Italy and Turkey. Also, we are very sorry the cultural center was closed. We worked so hard with Professor Özkan. We actually sent letters every to send yes every person related this subject in Italy, but I think it was quite an economical situation in Italy, so they had to close down in many countries. So not in Turkey they closed down the cultural center, but they still the embassy is trying to give the lectures. I think the Italian courses are continuing for the students to apply. Also, we have TÖMER for students to have language courses. These cultural days are very important. Film festivals between Italy and Turkey, which have been every year, I follow this. It is very important. And again, students are very important ambassadors of these kind of maybe relations. Is there any students in the audience who has been Erasmus student in Italy? There is one. Okay, would you like to say a few words about your experience?
I want to just say it was perfect for me. It was a perfect experience for my.
Thank you for that word. It was so perfect time for me. I was in Firenze, University di Firenze, and Italian culture.
What was the most common thing between these two countries, what, as a culturally you found, or different things?
I think people. We are between that. We always smiling and always
Talking,
yeah,
very lively. Yes, you never get bored.
yes, yes.
Another student.
Yeah, and I also went to Italy in Benevento, University, and it was a great experience also for me for 6 months. And as you ask, the Italian people and also cuisine is very similar for Turkey. And also I have a lot of friends Italian, and they also came to Turkey after I returned Turkey, and we met
This is your
each
job
other.
now.
What?
This is your job to invite more
Yeah.
Italian students to Turkey,
Yes.
especially Ankara University.
And they also speak Turkish well now, and also we speak Italian with them. So these relations are important, and I never regret to went to Erasmus. If I had a chance, also I went again, but maybe for the summer.
Well,
I think so.
Erasmus is possible for undergraduate and postgraduate, a master science, PhD, so in three circles you can find this opportunity.
Thank you for this word.
Okay, I would like to thank you for the invitation again, and thank you for listening. Thank you very much. We thank Professor Suzanne for these important facts and figures, and I would like to give the word once again to Professor Sant'Agostino because he has some more words to add. Please, Professor Sant'Agostino.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to complete the points that I included in my speech. And one more point that I think is interesting, but came into my mind when you mentioned, and just a memory, but I could not verify or precise at the point. Anyway, Ambassador Mattiolo said that we share many things and made a long list of the things that we share, an open list. So I think we can add something. That we share something which is very important today, considering that I am an economist, so considering the economic development. We share certain similarity as far as entrepreneurship is concerned, the entrepreneurial spirit. Italy is a country of small and medium enterprises. Italy is a country of industrial districts. Industrial districts is what is also labeled as the Italian multinational. We don't have so many multinationals because we are not so good at organizing. No? We are Mediterranean and organization Mediterranean. Some say are not so compatible. However, we find a similar reality here in Turkey, and which also has been object of investigation some years ago. I remember a very interesting study by a think tank called ESI, European Stability Initiative, which published a report concerning what they labeled at this moment as Islamic Calvinism. Islamic Calvinism spirit was animated the Anatolian industrial districts, Kayseri first of all, and then others, and as far as I know also, because I visited it several times at Konya. And actually, it's true, I find many visiting Konya, visiting the district of Konya, the industrial district, the industrial zone of Konya, and talking to visiting enterprises, talking to entrepreneurs, I find found many similarities between this, let's say, Anatolian entrepreneurial spirit, the Italian entrepreneurial spirit. My former university was Brescia. Brescia is an important industrial center and made up of small and medium enterprises. There are few industrial districts. So they are family-run business with the entrepreneur working from 8 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock in the night, including Saturday and sometimes Sunday. His family is also, no, the son, the daughters are part of the business, not trusting so much managers, not trusting so much banks, or investing all profits, a moderate style of lifestyle. So the thing that I have found that you can find in Italy, in our industrial district. So I think this mentality could be exploited for joint ventures, for agreements, production agreements, and this is another field in which the cooperation between Italy and Turkey could prosper. Then the other factor, I don't want to take too much time, I wanted to mention, now shifting to the cultural field. And because while we were talking about some past cultural relation between Italy and Turkey, you mentioned the opera, you mentioned paintings, and this reminded to me an interesting fact that again in Brescia, I've taught 30 years in that university, also I'm from Milan. And Brescia has an old tradition in printing. And the first edition, the first printed edition of the Quran was made in Brescia. Was made in Brescia by a guy called Paganini, who was a printer in Brescia. It's a story which did not end so happily, because so Paganini printed I don't know how many copies of this Quran, and happily it came to Constantinople or to Istanbul. It was in the late 16th century, the late 16th or 17th century, late 16th century, with his boat full of copies of the Quran, and went to present the Quran to the Sultan. But he did ignore that in those times it was still permitted to print the Quran. The Quran had to be written by hand. So there was he was not aware. So the copies of the Quran were burned, and he was sent away with not so much honor. But this is another example of the attention of Italy to Europe and to Turkey and to the Muslim culture. These are the things. Perhaps I wanted to add just words concerning the Erasmus. I'm glad to hear that we are number 1, 96. Because as I mentioned before, I started a parade with Turkish universities many years ago, and I also implemented with my University of Brescia Erasmus agreements, and in some years we arrived to host 8-7 students from Selçuk mainly, but also from Sabanci, from Koç. And I have to say that I am still in contact with some of my former Erasmus students who are now working, and they still remind them very happy with their Italian experience. So thank you. That's all that I wanted to say.
Thank you, Professor Sant'Agostino, for these interesting remarks. And now I would like
ask a question to Professor Suzanne. Now that we have more students in the hall, present in the hall, Professor Suzanne, what would be your advice to students going abroad, going to Italy? What would be absolutely necessary to do before leaving the country? Thank you.
Actually, my first suggestion is you should go abroad, Italy or the other countries. Your age is the perfect timing to go abroad. You've got nothing else to think about but yourself at the moment, your education and yourself. So Erasmus is not only an educational program, exchange program, it's also a cultural, basically a cultural exchange program. So you have to do your education part as well as your educational improving. So before going to Italy, well, for your department it's not a problem because they speak the language, so it's a good advantage. But the other students can have maybe basic language lectures from TÖMER, which we offer free language courses. The first courses is free from TÖMER to have some basic language. And also our cultures, of course, very similar, all Mediterranean countries, Spain, Greece and Italy. We don't have very much problems in terms of understanding each other. But still, we have to know that we have some differences. So we have to respect our differences as a culture, as a religion, as a language. And, but most of all, what I suggest for young people, what you speak is mostly will be English when you try to communicate. So you should have to know that it's not your own language, it's not your mother language, so you can speak wrong. It's your right. You will see in your age, in every country, all the young people not speak perfectly. I'm not talking about northern countries, of course, the very northern countries are having this opportunity, but all the rest of the Europe, all the students are like yourself. They don't speak perfect English. They are at the beginning of their education. Every young people are like you. So you've got nothing to lose, nothing to be embarrassed. Just speak. So if you make many mistakes, you speak perfect at the end. I say that because when I talk to students, first thing they told me is the language problem. There is no problem because you are very young, you can understand each other in every way. So in a couple of months' time, you speak fluently the other country's language, not English, even English. If you go to Italy, many of the students from other departments, rather than language department, they speak Italian after 6 months. In your age, it is possible. So I hope you all have the experience of Erasmus exchange.
Thank you. I would like to ask the same question to Professor Sant'Agostino. What would he suggest to our students going abroad with an Erasmus agreement? I think he will have another perspective, like, about integration, about helping the integration of Turkey to the European Union from his point of view. What would be his suggestions? Thank you, Professor Sant'Agostino.
Thank you very much for this, because give me the opportunity to repeat something that which I thought since Turkey became a candidate state, and since Turkish Erasmus students started to go to Europe. So one of the obstacles out the accession process, out the acquis, but one of the obstacles membership, some misconceptions, prejudice that still exist and are widespread in Europe, and prejudice and misconception are born out of, let's say, ignorance of a certain culture, ignorance of tradition, of certain reality. So I think that Erasmus should be an important vehicle to solve this problem, to clarify this misconception. And so I look at the Erasmus students as a sort of ambassadors now of Turkey appointed to the use of Europe, which means that really going abroad, you should first of all integrate with your classmates, with your colleagues, not live separately. I said this because, as I mentioned, we received in Brescia many Turkish students, and we had some example case of group students who wanted to remain separated. This is not good because this reinforces the idea that Turkey is not part of Europe. So really, I think that this is a suggestion for the university also, for the Erasmus agency, to train your Erasmus students to be the ambassador of Turkey, which means explaining what are the main aspects of your culture, religion, customs, economy, and politics, and so on. And then I think this would contribute a lot to change certain misconceptions that are existing in Europe concerning Turkey.
Thank you, Professor Sant'Agostino. I think Professor Suzanne already mentioned that there is a free demand course for the first course for students going to Erasmus, so that would be a big help. And now I would like to open the floor to your questions, to the discussions. If you have any questions to any one of us, please let us know. We're waiting for your questions. Yes, please. Professor Thailand. Professor Thailand. You'll be handed the microphone, yes.
Well, good morning and thanks for this nice panel. Benvenuto professore alla nostra università. I'm Aylan Bari from Faculty of Political Science and Economics Department, Ankara University. So from colleague to colleague, I would like to ask you how you see the future of the economic relations between Italy and Turkey. Well, all our countries are in crisis. There is a outspread crisis in Europe, but it is getting sort of a little bit lighter perhaps. It's getting cured a little bit. We have other problems in Turkey, but it is evolving. We are progressing somehow. So do you see the light at the end of the tunnel? How the relations between the economic relations, especially between Turkey and Italy, will evolve? Thank you very much.
I would like to ask this question, Professor Bari. Not me, I hope.
Well, to Professor Sant'Agostino. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much for this question. Well, first of all, the crisis in the European Union and the lack of growth and the high level of unemployment. Well, little by little, slowly, we are piano. I receive a suggestion. Piano, we are getting out of this crisis. Growth is still slow in Europe, but at least we have no more recession. Even Italy is out of recession after many years. started in 2011 when Berlusconi stepped down and ended this trimester, this quarter. So, and this I would say thank also to the policies which have been implemented by the European Union according to the suggestion, according to the indication of the European Union. A few days ago there was a meeting of the Eurogroup in Riga because of the Latvian presidency, and the ministers prized Spain, prized Cyprus, they did not prize Ireland because it's already out, but the most sick economies of Europe are on the way to recovery. Still we have the problem of Greece, but I think that Greece will have to adopt, to submit a credible reform plan, otherwise will be, otherwise, there's no otherwise, we have to do this, there's no, so, light out of the tunnel, light at the bottom, at the end of the tunnel. Yes, I think that the perspectives are brighter. And, well, concerning the relation between Europe and Turkey, well, luckily this year of crisis, at least we had a neighboring country with prominent economic growth. So we have all to gain out of having neighbor countries which are in good economic condition. When your neighbor is rich, it's also positive for you. The problem is to have a poor neighbor, and we see what is happening with North African countries. So the bright economic development, Ambassador Mattiolo reminded here that trade is growing, with also thanks to the custom union, the good investment like climate, which was prevalent in Turkey in these years, also determined a huge increase in foreign investment, and among these investments from Italy. So I think that the perspective, the economic perspective, the perspective of economic integration are very bright. Here also I want to go back to the point I raised before. For industrial cooperation, also the mentality, the business mentality is very important. And we share this richness which is the small and medium enterprise, the industrial district. So I think this is a structural fact which really could be the base for more and more cooperation. So I think that we have not yet completely exploited the potentiality of economic cooperation between Italy and Turkey. So the future in this sense is bright, or at least full of potentiality to be exploited.
Thank you, Professor Sant'Agostino. And any other questions? Anyone who would like to ask a question to any of us here? Yes, please.
Thank thanks to our distinguished speakers. My name is Emilio. I'm working at the Italian Embassy. I would like to ask to Professor Melinoscan, what will you suggest for some Turkish students that want to start the study of the Italian language and Italian culture? Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Cesar, for this question. What I would suggest for Turkish students starting Italian is just think that it's much easier than English or French or German. That's the first thing, because no, don't believe Professor Suzanne, believe anything else she says, but not this. Now, seriously speaking, it's an experience that I have had personally. It's not only the language itself that is so open to you that you can embrace the language easily as a Turkish student. It's also the culture which embraces you and the people you meet when you go to Italy. Because if you go to France or to Germany, knowing just a little bit of French or German, my Italian colleagues and my Turkish colleagues who have been to these countries will surely approve. People will not understand you, or will try not to understand you in a way or in another. They will say, oh, well, did you mean this or did you mean that? I haven't understand you. What were you trying to say? But if you go to Italy, isn't it true? Having had a course of TEMAC, the beginning course of TEMAC, so please go and attend your TEMAC course, which is given to you as a gift, I have to say, as a gift for Erasmus students. When you have the basic language knowledge and you go to Italy, you will see how the Italian people will try to understand you, will do their best to help you, and the doors will be opened to you before you finish your sentence. This is the best, isn't it?
That's why I can't learn.
No.
They always understand easily.
They understand
Finish the
easily.
sentence.
But that's because you speak perfectly well. So you express yourself perfectly well. So please attend your language course, and when you go to Italy, try to make the most out of it. Try to go to cinemas, theaters, concerts, art exhibitions, because the culture of a country is that country. It's not only the language, it's the culture also. Any other questions? If not, I would like to end this session and thank you, distinguished guests, for listening to us. Now we will have a video show, if I'm not mistaken, and I will leave you to the video show. Thank you for attending the conference.
Italy, the extraordinary commonplace, which demystifying some commonplaces about Italy will show how making Italy is much more than fashion, design, and food products. The other two videos are about the Expo Milan 2015, the universal exhibition that Milan will host from May 1st to October 31st, 2015. Over the 6 months period, Milan will become a global showcase where more than 140 participating countries will show the best of their technology around the central theme, feeding the planet energy for life. And they will try to offer a concrete answer to a vital need, being able to guarantee healthy, safe, and sufficient food for everyone, while respecting the planet and its equilibrium. In addition to the exhibitor nations, the Expo also involves international organizations and expects to welcome over 20 million visitors to its 1.1 million square meters of exhibition area.
Size ilk göstereceğimiz video, İtalya sıra dışı klişeler, İtalya'yı ona özgürenen bazı klişelerle barındırarak Made in Italy markasının nasıl sadece moda, dizayn ve gıda ürünlerini tanımlamadığını gösterecektir. Diğer iki video ise Milan, İtalya'nın 1 Mayıs 31 Kasım 2015 tarihleri arasında ev sahipliği yapacağı uluslararası fuar Expo Milan 2015 hakkındadır. Söz konusu 6 ayı aşkın bu sürede Milan, 140 katılımcı ülkenin gezegeni beslemek, hayat için enerji ana teması etrafında en iyi teknolojilerini sergileyecekleri bir küresel mekan haline gelecek ve en önemli ihtiyaçlardan biri olan gezegenin onun dengesini bozmadan herkes için sağlıklı, güvenli ve yeterli besini sağlamak sorusunu cevap vermeye çalışacaktır. Sergiye katılan uluslar dışında Expo, uluslararası organizasyonları 20 milyon